As we come to the end of 2025, is there a crisis going on between U.S. President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu? The media has been saying over and over again in recent days and recent weeks that Trump is upset. Media is claiming from unnamed sources that Vice President Vance is furious with Bibi, that White House Chief of Staff is upset with him, that all the senior leaders around Trump are upset with Netanyahu and they can't get stuff done. Is that true? Hi, this is Joel Rosenberg in Jerusalem with a YouTube exclusive for the Rosenberg Report on TBN. Look, let me tell you the truth. Prime Minister Netanyahu is in Florida at Mar-a-Lago, the beautiful, I mean, absolutely lovely. I've been there, the gorgeous Southern Command, as it were, for President Trump. And I can tell you that those meetings, that relationship is going well. And I'm going to walk you through now some of the evidence that is it going well, that, look, might there be underneath the surface, behind the scenes, tensions over this or that? I'm sure. Trump is a big boy. He does not have to worry about dealing with Bibi Netanyahu. Netanyahu is a very experienced leader. He's a big boy on the big stage. He runs a small country, but he's playing as a global leader. And there's no question that there are tensions and disagreements between these men and their teams at times. That's not surprising. In fact, Trump said it or alluded to it as much. He says, Bibi is a strong man. He's a strong leader. He's not a weak leader. But Trump praised that. He said, do we agree on everything? No, not at first, but we talk about it, we work our way through it, and we've come to a series of conclusions. Trump is not, he's not trying to shy away from the fact that he's dealing with a tough customer, but he's praising Bibi Netanyahu, Prime Minister Netanyahu, as being a strong man who knows how to lead and knows how to get stuff done, and he likes that. Okay, so whatever White House aides or people in or outside the administration are telling you, telling the media, maybe from their perspective that the relationship is difficult, but that's not Trump's perspective. And I want to walk you through these reasons. Well, first of all, Trump said, even before they went into their full day of meetings at Mar-a-Lago, and again, keep in mind, this is the 5th time that these two leaders have met this year. Okay, Trump has not met with a world leader 5 times in a single year ever. Okay, certainly not this year. And it's with the Israeli Prime Minister. Why? Because their relationship is good. There are big things to deal with, and they are dealing with them. Trump went on and on, actually, both before they went into their day of meetings and then afterwards at the press conference, and he just repeatedly said how good the relationship is. They're getting stuff done. He praised Bibi as a wartime leader who's tough, but Trump said repeatedly, mind you, that if Bibi Netanyahu was not the Prime Minister of Israel, if a weak leader, a stupid leader, if a weak or stupid leader was in charge of Israel, Israel might not be there right now. He said that several times. Now, you could say that's an exaggeration. The point is, Israel is a small country that got attacked on 7 different sides by, Hamas did tremendous damage, even though they're a relatively small power, right? A terrorist force. But Iran is a huge nation with huge ballistic missiles, and they could have unleashed all of them. But they didn't. And in fact, Netanyahu, working with Trump, neutralized, completely destroyed the Iran nuclear threat and badly disabled Iran's ballistic missile threat. Now, those are still big issues, and we're going to get to that in a moment. But Trump is talking about, look, you may consider Bibi a strong leader who's difficult to work with. I'm saying he's a leader I can work with, and I am working with him, and look at the fruit. Look at the fruit of the relationship. They haven't met 5 times because they're in marriage counseling. They're not sitting there, with a mediator trying to help them figure out how to talk to each other, how to have crucial conversations with each other. No, they're working together, and they're getting stuff done. They got all the hostages out. President Trump made this point multiple times. They utterly destroyed Iran's nuclear capacity, nuclear threat so far, right?
And we're going to get to more of that in a moment. They have badly disabled and damaged Iran's ballistic missile threat, including their ability to produce missiles, though Iran seems to be moving back in that direction of building more missiles. Again, we're going to get to that in a moment. But these are the accomplishments that Trump restated over and over again. What's more, of course, they not only did 4 Arab-Israeli peace and normalization agreements, Abraham Accords, but another one just came online, right? Kazakhstan. And the question now is, are there more coming? And Trump was asked that directly by reporters, and he said, yes, actually fairly soon, we're going to see more countries making peace with Israel. They're not going to make peace with Israel if Israel is poorly led, imploding, and has a terrible relationship with the United States of America, the strongest superpower on the planet. That's not going to happen. Right now, as war ends, we pray, right? We think that's happening. Many Christians are asking, so what do we do now? How can we continue to bless Israel, especially as the nation begins to rebuild? Well, Scripture gives us the answer in Genesis 12:3. I will bless those who bless Israel. And today, that calling matters more than ever. After years of hardship, Israel is entering a season of renewal. Families are rebuilding, small businesses are reopening, and communities from the Galilee to the Negev are coming back to life. And that's where Artza comes in. Artza is a beautiful subscription box that brings the Holy Land straight into your home, filled with handmade foods, crafts, and treasures created by small family artisans all across Israel. Each item tells a story of faith, beauty, and restoration. By subscribing, you're not only receiving something meaningful, you're directly blessing the people of Israel and helping their communities thrive again. This Christmas, bless Israel in a tangible way. Visit artsabox.com and use my code RR15 for 15% off. Lynn and I love Artza, and I know you will too. Bless Israel. Experience the land. Be part of its renewal with Artza. You can see how much Trump actually personally admires Bibi. I have no doubt that Trump gets frustrated with Netanyahu. He's not the only one, right? Most of the leaders of the center-right parties, political parties here in Israel, are former Netanyahu chiefs of staff, senior advisors, or political allies. All of them got super frustrated with Netanyahu, quit working with him, and started their own parties to either oppose him or force him to bring them in and deal with them as equals, or at least as serious players, not as subordinates, okay? Bibi has a history of being very difficult to work with, but he doesn't keep getting reelected because he's ineffectual. He's very effective, but he does burn relationships. He does strain relationships. And right now he's underwater in the polls, okay? Right now, if the elections were held today, which they're not, but if they were held again today in Israel, Netanyahu's party might be the biggest, but he wouldn't have enough parties to work with to put together a coalition, even though this country has gone from a left-wing socialist country to a center-right country, nationalistic country, and Bibi should be able to, he should be able to command 75, 80 seats out of 120, but he can't. And a lot of that's personal relationship. Nevertheless, I go back to our central point. Trump isn't furious with Bibi. He loves working with Bibi because they're getting stuff done. Okay, that's part of the relationship, part of the chemistry. Now, here's more to the chemistry. Again, anybody that's trying to make the case, oh, Trump might be getting stuff done because he has to, right? Because they're allies and there's challenges in the Middle East, Iran and Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis, and so they have to work together. That's not the only reason. It's certainly a reason. The interest, the national interests of both countries, the United States and Israel, are certainly bringing people together, bringing these two leaders together. But it's more than that. Trump kept saying, before and after the day of meetings, that Bibi Netanyahu deserves re-election, that he deserves a pardon, that he expects Israeli President Isaac Herzog to give Netanyahu a pardon because Bibi is such a successful wartime leader and is working so closely with the United States. Why would you want to continue on a trial on this person? Why don't you let him lead? Why don't you let him run again? These are huge political endorsements from Trump. Anybody and everybody actually that's trying to malign the relationship with these two are missing, purposely missing, intentionally discounting every single thing that I just told you. Now, that's not an endorsement from me or from, TBN or the Rosenberg Report or anything like that. I'm trying to give you political analysis of the relationship because that's the big story. And I think that anybody who gets invited to the president's personal home during the Christmas, New Year's holiday, Hanukkah, Christmas, New Year's, and that's the 5th visit, and the president saying, give the guy a pardon, he should be reelected, let's work together, let's get stuff done. This is not a crisis. And it's just a ridiculous way that left-wing media are trying to stir a pot and try to create problems where there aren't any. Now, there are still big challenges to be dealt with. Let's deal with. What did Trump actually say? Netanyahu has anxieties going into these meetings, okay? He does, and his team does too. One of those anxieties is that they can see Israeli intelligence is seeing Iran trying to rebuild its capacity to build ballistic missiles. There's not a lot of evidence yet that they're moving quickly on rebuilding the Iranian nuclear threat yet. Do they want to? Sure they do. But the question right now, I think Iran is recalculating and realizing if we fired 1,000 missiles at Israel at once, 2,000, 5,000, we could overwhelm Israel's impressive but limited missile defense system, even though it's layered, right? You got Arrow 1, 2, 3, you've got the Patriot system, you've got THAAD, you've got Iron Dome, you've got the Laser Dome, and all the other elements, David Sling. So there's a lot of ways Israel can shoot down missiles and rockets, but if you get 1,000 of them at once, can we do that? No. So Iran's moving now towards rebuilding its capacity to rapidly build long-range ballistic missiles that pose a severe threat, an existential threat, really, to Israel, okay? And Netanyahu was going into the meetings concerned that what if Trump is like, look, we use military force and now we're done. If the Iranians want to come back to the table and negotiate, let's negotiate something. That's an anxiety that's real. But Trump said very clearly, coming out of these meetings, that he himself is concerned, that he's looking at the intelligence and he's ready to say Trump said this specifically, if Iran really is moving rapidly to back in the wrong direction, right, to become a threat, not just to Israel, but to the Arab partners of the United States, the Arab allies, and to American interests and security concerns themselves, that we will hit them, they'll be held to pay. And Trump said he would support Netanyahu doing a massive attack. He said, he said potentially an even bigger attack against Iran than before. Would the United States directly get involved? He wasn't definitive about that, though he didn't rule that out. But he definitely talked about supporting Netanyahu and Israel going back to neutralize the Iran threat so that it will be done. Why? Because when Iran is neutral and not a threat, maybe they're a nuisance, maybe they're evil, but they're not an actual threat, peace can happen. And Trump repeatedly said, peace is happening, and the Abraham Accords can expand because the U.S. and Israel have worked together to neutralize the Iran threat. So that's a big deal. Now, there's another anxiety that Bibi had going in, which is Trump going to force Netanyahu to pull Israeli forces back further towards Israel out of Gaza when Hamas is still not disarmed and there's no clear plan for how to get Hamas disarmed? These questions were asked directly of Trump, and right at the moment you'd probably be imagining Bibi going, okay, what's he going to say, right? Trump delivered. He said, there's a very short amount of time that Hamas has. If they don't disarm, there's going to be hell to pay. And he said it's going to be ferocious. And it could be Israel, but he actually said there are multiple other countries, Arab, Muslim, maybe unnamed, that he would, that are interested in going in and helping disarm Hamas. So
that was positive. It was positive for Netanyahu to hear that Trump wants Hamas disarmed. Very important also, no Israeli wants to move to phase 2 of the Trump peace plan until the final hostage is out. There's a hostage, we believe he's deceased, Ran Gavili, and his family is very concerned that the process moved forward and all 254 other hostages were either who were alive or deceased. They were all released, and now what about Ran Gavili? Well, Bibi, I think, did a great and important thing, and that is he took Ran Gavili's family with him and let them meet with the president to say directly to President Trump, please don't move to phase 2 until you finish phase 1 and get our loved one back. Now, I'm going to end with what's the most concerning piece of all of this. The most concerning piece is how positive Trump was about Turkish President Recep Erdogan. He just praised him over and over and over, and he did not rule out. In fact, he seemed to be okay with Turkish troops going into Gaza. I think that's a disaster, but I'll explain that on another YouTube exclusive. For the end of the year, here we are, closing out 2025. I think it was a hugely significant year. We're going to wrap all that up on the year-end show of the Rosenberg Report. I hope you'll watch it Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern on TBN, and repeat it again Saturday evening. It's been a big year. We've seen big stories, and we've had big interviews on the Rosenberg Report. It's been super exciting, but I think 2026 is going to be even more dramatic and less predictable. So, from Jerusalem, this is Joel Rosenberg. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for praying for the peace of Jerusalem. And keep watching the Rosenberg Report, YouTube exclusives like this, and the program on TBN. Thank you. God bless you. See you next year.